2016 Dodge Ram 1500 with the Eco Diesel. So, issue with this one is it won't start. It won't even crank. It won't even start. So if you look, hold the brake here, try to start it. Nothing. And the Prendo is locked out. You can't take it out of gear. It's all lit up. It says service transmission. Talks about some DEF stuff. So what I got hooked up, get out of this thing. Got my VCMI hooked up. Using my Autel Ultra. And I did a full system scan here for topology. We'll do it again here. And there's a bunch of codes, like 9 in the engine computer. Why isn't this thing focusing? It had a bunch more before, but this computer, the engine computer over here, can't really see it, but there's 2 connectors on it. The bottom connector wasn't plugged in. So I was told that the customer supposedly hit a piece of wood. It got wedged up in the computer. Who knows, right? There's no way a piece of wood get up in there. I don't think. There's some bulkhead connectors, inline connectors down here that are all broken. I mean, all the clips and stuff are just broken off. They were barely, these I took the back shells off, but all these clips are broken or they're missing. So somebody's been in this truck. But if you look here, and I just cleared all the codes before I started filming, but the ECM has a lost common to TCM, lost common to electronic gear shift module, fuel temperature sensor high, lost common to reductant quality module, lost common to reductant heater control module, reductant pump 2, circuit open, lost common to knock sensor module B, reductant pump supply voltage stuck off, lost common to PM sensor, particulate matter I suppose. The drivetrain control module lost common to TCM, ABS lost common to ECM, PCM and TCM, instrument panel lost common to TCM, BCM lost common to TCM, radio lost common to TCM, Partronics lost common implausible data received from ECM, PCM, radio frequency lost common to TCM, electronic shift module lost common to TCM, bus signal message failures, ECM, electronic shift module lost common to TCM on D, PT CAN, integrated trailer brake module, impossible data received from the ABS. So we got a lot of U codes, right? Well, that's why it won't start. You know, the transmission, it needs to be in park or neutral, and the truck doesn't know that. So that's why it's not starting. And I'm not saying there could be other issues too. But I pulled up a wiring diagram here. This module transmission, which we have no comm to, is inside the transmission. I'll pull it up here in a minute. But we got power coming in from the power distribution center. This fuse is good, and I already kind of looked at this, but there's all these inline connectors. Well, this inline air suspension jumper chassis connector, pin 1 and 1, it's not getting voltage across that. So I have a jumper for that. But I checked can high, can low, we'll talk about all that. Check the ground. But down here, so that's your TCM. Down here's your module shift, which is a different fuse, and I checked that. We can talk to the electronic shift module. We can't talk to that. Well, the shift module has to talk to the TCM via these data bus lines, and that's why we have other codes in there. So if we exit out of this, I don't think we're going to see much if we do the, because since it's a Chrysler, the bus inspection, pin 6 and 14, because it's got to go through its gateway module. I don't know if they don't think they're calling us a tip them. It looks like maybe on this one the BCM is the gateway module. We'll see here. Well, it actually does. I guess it's maybe because it's an Eco Diesel. Again, there's no actual tip them on this, I guess. But there's your can high. Here's your can low. The messages look fine. We're going to go back. Then we're going to go back to our truck. And I might get YTech, pay the $50 2-day subscription and use YTech with my Cardac 3. I know exactly what modules are on this bus. Yeah, so 6 and 14 was what we're on, is the red, which is your CAN high, CAN C. The green is 3 and 11, which is your interior speed, high-speed CAN. We could scope 3 and 11, but there's no need to. But we are scoping this side over here, and the bus look fine. And we're going to scope it on the bottom of the vehicle to make sure it's getting to the TCM. So basically, we're going to verify powers and grounds and make sure we got CAN bus. And if we do, it's got to be a bad module, which is inside the transmission. So let me get it up in the air, and then we'll go from there. All right, we've got it up in the air. Well, if you look up in here, all these connectors were just hanging out here. I'll explain this jumper thing here in a minute. They're all just beat up laying there. Somebody's been in here and everything's been broken off. Another thing I noticed is some crappy weld job. It's like the bolts broke off and they welded it. And this injection sensor for the, yeah, look at it. I mean, it's just all beat up. Now, were they welding on it and didn't disconnect something and shorted something out? I'm not sure. But up there, well, I can't even get up in there. Right there, that's the transmission plug. We'll pull out in a second. But what I do want to explain over here is one of these bulk inline connectors, this yellow with the red wire I got jumped across, that's pin 1. Because what that is, I had no power down here. I went through all these connectors. Long story short, this inline air suspension jumper chassis have power on this side but not on this side. Well, it's between those two connections. It looks fine when you look at it, pin retention, but maybe somebody pulled the wire out of the connector itself. I don't know, can't really tell until we pull that all apart. So I just got a jumper right now. Then I can get power down to here. Otherwise, I never have power down there. So let me get this connection off the transmission next. Alrighty, so I pulled this connector off this transmission. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wires. In this little bulkhead connector, there's 8 pins. You can see them, there's more than 8 holes, but there's only 8 pins. So I wasn't getting power on pin 13, which is power, 14 is ground. Power, 13, 14 ground. I was not getting that until I made that jump across there. So I found that issue right there between this male and female connector. But that still doesn't restore my comm, and I'll prove that with my test light. So I'm using a white wire and a ground, so white's drawing 2.3 amps. Sorry about that. Alrighty. I'm gonna put black or green in pin 14. Man, what a pain in the butt to film and try to do this. Look. Right there. I'll get back so you can see. Pull it out. So that proves that our power and ground is good. Now, I'm not going to show it, but if I were to take this off of here, it would not have voltage back there because of the pin retention, not pin retention. Or it could be. There's something wrong in this connect. We got to figure that out. But for now, we proved that power and grounds are good. Well, what else do we need to talk? We need our CAN bus. We're going to go 5 and 6 to ground and make sure we got a bus activity at the TCM. So let me get that set up next. All right, so let's get our scope set up here. So we'll go to oscilloscope off our VCMI. Come on. We're going to go to a 5-volt scale. 1 second to get it started. Bluetooth or Wi-Fi'd up. The VCMI hanging there. These are my leads. Let me plug these in quick. All right, so we're going to use 14 as a ground. 5 is going to be CAN high. I'm just using my AES wave kit right there. Channel A. Let's move this down. Go to a 2 millisecond or 5 millisecond division. So we got activity, put a trigger on there. That's can high. Looks fine. Let's go to can low next, which is pin 6. All right, I moved it to pin 6. I left my ground in 14. Battery's dying. There's can low. That looks good. We got our 2.5 bias voltage. Yep. Messages should be square waves, which they are. So that tells me we got power, we got ground, we got CAN bus, high and low, high speed CAN going to the module, but we still can't talk to it with the scan tool, and the truck doesn't recognize it. One thing left is this ignition off run start control output. Ignition off run start control output. I don't think that's going to affect with our anything there, but we can check the continuity across from here back to the BCM if we need to, because it goes through the same connector. Inline air suspension jumper chassis, inline air suspension airline jumper chassis. But that's ignition off front start control output. I would think that would be for a signal to let the vehicle start. Yes, so and then this would know that it's in park somehow through this module, which we can talk to this module, the electronic shift module, but we cannot talk to the TCM. So it looks like it's a bad TCM. Well, to confirm that, we could pull the TCM out of there. We could hook a go diag box, look at it, but that's where we're at right now. And I'll see if I can come up with some other tests. Like I said, I don't know if they're welding and causes issues. But there's been people have been in these connectors here. Maybe they're pulling on the wires and pulled stuff out. Who knows? It's just a big mess right now. So we gotta restore comm to the TCM and then go from there. So before I do any other stuff, I want to check this circuit here just to verify, at least from pin 9 to pin 22 on the inline body chassis going to the BCM. I'm going to check from here to there, because all these inline connectors have been messed with. I don't know who's messing with them, but good God, like they destroyed them. So pin 22, pink with a white tracer, circuit F1. This is the view of it. Pin 22, F1, pink, 20 gauge ignition off start. So let's see where this connector's at. 22. There's 20, 1, 2. It's going to be the I220 connector. Let's take a look at that. So it's showing it right there. Let's see where that's at. I220 is that connector. Like very far in the front. Well, that should be easy to find. Not, because it's hard to tell. It's either this one or this one. And somebody's been in here too. Yeah, it's all beat up. So let me find which one it is and take a look, because I want to go to this pin 22, pink with a white. All right, so I found another problem. So I'm trying to connect from this connector here, pin 22, but if you look down here, you know, it's got that, which is this connector here. But I checked, I had no continuity from over there to over here. Long story short, the pink with the white tracer goes through this connector. I have no continuity across this pink wire to this pink wire going through my check resistance. I got nothing, which is the circuit for this, the output. So let's just run a circuit there to make sure it's good, and then go from there. But it's also in the same connector we had issues with the other one, the 12-volt wire. So we'll take a look at that. All right, so since I jumped around that same connector, the chassis connector, now I got 12 volts or battery voltage up there. It's my multimeter. So we're just gonna have those wires jump for now. Now let's plug back in and see if we got COM. Alrighty, so like I said, I got this wire going all the way back to the BCM. We got voltage, and I already noticed the difference because our Prindle switch is good now. And we have no transmission service as of right now. I don't know about that DEF stuff. I'm gonna have to do a regen. Like I said, we don't know the history on this, but there's something going on in that inline connector down there. Maybe a piece of wood did take it apart and pull on wires. So either we got to jump wires across to connect them, or take it apart and fix the connector. We'll talk to the customer shop owner and see what they want to do. But right now we're good. I'm not saying there's other wires that are probably bad in that circuit as well. But look, our TCM is green. So let's clear everything. Yeah, we got COM to our TCM again. So we definitely need to fix those two wires, whether we get a new connector or repin them or whatever we got to do. Put all that stuff back in, zip tie, whatever we got to do. It's a hot mess with all that stuff. Like somebody's been in there, or a piece of something hit it or something, right? So fix all that, get it running. I think they got to add coolant to this because there was a coolant issue, they said. We got to figure out the DEF issue. Who knows, right? So everything's green except we got the ECM's got some cold still. Field temperature, lost COM with reductant quality module, heater control, NOx sensor B, reductant pump. So that DEF stuff may be in regards to that reductant stuff too. So we need to figure out that, whether it's the same pins that go into that. I also need to pull up the schematics for the communication, the whole entire bus. We might end up using YTech to look at that as well. We'll see but at least we got it. Well, make sure it starts here. Pause it so I can get in. All right, I'm in the truck. Starts up. You can hear it running. It says engine will not restart at 105 miles, service DEF C dealer. So we can shift it. But we got to figure out, the key still will not come out of the ignition, which we got to figure that out too. At least we're getting somewhere though. Engine lights on because of those messages for the DEF. Yeah, we got to figure out that key thing as well. But the DEF thing is because, let's do a fault scan again and see after running it a few times. 8 codes in the ECM, 1 in the TCM. At least we can restore COM. So we're not done with this truck yet. We just got it running. And we still got a bunch of other stuff from all these other issues. All right, let's finish scanning here. Go to report. See what we got. Field temperature sensor high, lost COM with reductant quality, lost COM with reductant heater, reductant pump 2, lost COM with NOx, reductant pump supply, reductant level, lost COM with particulate matter sensor. So we need to fix these, and that should get rid of that reductant stuff in there. We got to restore comp to that or whatever. Who knows? Maybe it's through that same connector. We haven't even looked at that yet. Transmission, park sense circuit open. Oh, look. Transmission range sensor signal. And the radio frequency hub. Chassis jumper harness. Chassis jumper harness. Pin 2. It's right next to this other pin. I bet you that pin doesn't have continuity through it either. We could check that, jump it, but I bet you it doesn't because of that code. So we got to fix that. You know what we need to do is pull up that connector and see the chassis connector, see if we have reductant stuff going through there as well. And we got reverse lights and stuff like that. Let me pull that up just to see. We got it running. We still got plenty of stuff to do on this, but we're getting somewhere finally. All right, I had to show my scan tool off. It's about to die. But anyway, so this inline chassis jumper connector right here, we had issues with pin 1, pin 3. We're having issues with pin 2. Inline air suspension jumper chassis. We don't have issues with the other connectors, but that one specifically, that connector, inline air suspension jumper chassis. That's the one we had no power. There's a park signal, ignition, output. All those. There's DEF purge pump control, water and fuel sensor ground, fuel temp, fuel, SCR, module heater supply, diesel heater ground, fused, ASD relay output, bunch of can, urea tank, fuel temp, sensor return, WIF sensor signal. So we need to look at all those wires. We need to take that connector apart. You know, that's some of the issues we're having with the other ones. And we can look at, like I said, I'll look at the topology. I may use YTech to look at topology. This Ultra is doing pretty good with that, but just in case, if I need to, also look at the communication stuff as well for the modules. But I don't know if there'll be another part to this video, but at least I got it running now. This may be part 1 or this may be the whole video. I'm not sure if I'll film the other stuff. If it's just the connector, we fix that and all the other stuff is restored. Cool, we're done. If there's other issues, we got to fix that first. And if there's other issues from that, then we have to find the other connectors that has issues and go from there. All right, real quick. We look at these history codes here when my scan tool dies. Field temperature circuit, loss com with redundant quality module, loss com with reductant heater, reductant pump control circuit, NOx sensor module, reductant pump supply voltage. So if you look at that, here's the topology for CAN C bus. I'm not going to use YTech 2.0 because this is doing fine. We don't have those modules in here, but we do have those sensors. And I believe those computers, PCM wants to talk to those sensors, which is going through that same connector. Because if you look, we don't have a reductant sense heater in here. Or we do, but it's not a separate module according to this CAN C bus system that I can tell going through all this whole thing. But it must reach out from the PCM and talk to those. So I believe the issue is still in that connector. We'll fix that. If that restores everything, we're good. If it doesn't, then we got to find the other connector. But we do got to go from there for sure. So that's CAN C bus. And then what's CAN private bus? Let's just see. Oh, take a look here. Oh, actually it does have it. Never mind. Huh. I misspoke on that. So this is CAN private bus. We were in CAN C bus earlier. Now we're in CAN private bus. And here's where we're losing comp. So we got a PCM, but we don't have comp to the NOx sensor, the urea quality sensor, the module heater control, the NOx sensor 1-2, particulate matter sensor, which is a PM and motor boost pressure servo. Okay, so let's look here. These connectors are inline chassis fuel tank. Oh, come on, focus. Inline chassis fuel tank. That's different than our other one. But right there, inline air suspension jumper chassis. That's the same. Inline chassis sensor jumper 2. Well, right here we had issues with inline air suspension jumper chassis. If you go over here, inline air suspension jumper chassis. So that same connector that we're finding issues with on that truck, would you focus, phone? Is having issues with this CAN private bus system. So that's why the PCM's picking up that, because it's not talking to these other modules through the private bus for powertrain sensors. That's pretty cool. So if this connector's broken right here, or not broken, but not making communication like the other ones are, we're not going to be able to talk to the sensor urea quality, the module heater control, the NOx sensor 1, 2, the particulate matter sensor. Yeah, everything we're having problems with. This one we never had an issue with because that's comes up before that connector, just like NOx sensor 1 does. So there, the rest of our issues is in pin 24 and 25. That's why we can talk to these down here, but not this one. This one we're good. That one we're good. Sorry about it's not focusing. These are bad because we can't talk to them because of that connector, pin 24 and 25, on that same inline air suspension jumper chassis. So it's all in that one connector. All right, I know I keep saying I'm done, but so this is the connectors that are having issues between those two. So what I'm doing now is I'm checking the pink wire with the white tracer, which is that output control. I'm going to check on the female side. But looking at these pins, nothing looks obviously wrong with them. They all look fine to the naked eye. Pink, going to pink through my meter. Zero ohms, good. And I got good pin retention. Checking that. Now let's check the other side of the pink. Well, you can hear it. We're on the other side. On the male side to the pink. We're good. I'm gonna do that with all these wires, not all of them, the ones that we have issues with, and check. But if they're both good, that means there's gotta be a pin retention thing. And the clips are broken on that, but it's pressed all the way in. We'll take a look at that next. All right, so I put a big zip tie in there. I don't like doing it this way because I don't want to squish those wires, but I got that thing tight. I move it around a little bit, and once in a while I'll get continuity, but still not good enough. All these latches are broken on here where you cam lock it in. We'll check a couple more wires. They're probably gonna have to get a new connector so this thing's fixed correctly. Alrighty, I got that connector finally back together. There's some dirt and debris in there. I got everything seated, so everything's good now. This thing's pissing antifreeze. I don't know if you can see that or not. Which the complaint was too, is leaking antifreeze. So I ain't gonna run it very long. But I'm using the 906S now because my scan tool died. I rescanned it, no faults in anything. But it says engine will not restart 105 miles service def. So I might have to do a regen or something, who knows, right? But everything turns off, the key comes out, everything's good. But we definitely got to fix that coolant leak, which the shop will do that, which is a known issue when he came in. I guess he hit something. Quick fault scan again. Yeah, everything's good. So that connector is, everything's back together. I checked more pins. I didn't show it on video. I cleaned those pins up. I put it together the best I could. Really, probably should get a new connector for it, but I got it the best I can with those big zip ties and everything pushed back in together. So we'll finish scanning here. I'm not going to run it too long. I'm watching the coolant temp. Come on. And it is hot out today. I cannot wait for fall and winter in Idaho. And I get to go hunting too. So yeah, all passes. Let me go ahead and turn this off. Or they're gonna have to fix that coolant leak. The connectors are good for now. I mean, eventually they might want to put new connectors in, but it's good for now. It'll be fine, especially in this dry climate here in Idaho. But fix the coolant leak. And then this DEF thing, I don't know if it needs a regen or what it needs, but I don't want to do a regen until we get that coolant leak fixed, you know, because it's going to run at higher temperatures. Just go to a hot function here. I would imagine that's what that is. Who knows? Maybe the filter's so plugged. We don't know the history on this truck. It's kind of hard to get a straight answer. Yeah, we can do the reset. Regeneration we can do right there. I want to do all that, but I want them to have the fix the coolant leak first. We'll do the regen, and hopefully that truck is good to go. So that is it for this 2016 Dodge Ram 1500 with the EcoDiesel.